Good afternoon, friends from America. My name is Andy Boland, and I am the managing director of a community interest company called Playground 2. The ... in this case is street soccer. I've already been involved now in street soccer, I'd say, for the last maybe 3 to 5 years. For me, I started as like a traditional football coach, soccer coach, before sort of deciding that the traditional methods that we have maybe over in the UK were perhaps a little bit outdated, and perhaps we needed something just a little bit different. And I met my friend Darren. Introduced me to like a new way of playing, but it wasn't so much just a new way of playing, it was like a new way of coaching as well, a completely sort of like holistic package that goes with it. So after kind of learning my trade as a bit of an apprentice to him over the last maybe 3 to 5 years, I eventually took the plunge and set up my own company, and we called it Playground 2 in the sense that we all kind of start life on a playground through school and education, and there's only really one inevitability in life, and that's that we're going to grow up. So it's a bit like, well, what do we do when we grow up? Where do we go? What do we do? For some people it's higher education, for other people it's work. For me it was about coaching, and I think my passion has kind of moved from the traditional soccer to street soccer, because street soccer is like such a free game. It's kind of like the game that anyone can play, and because there's no real emphasis on positions and formations and who's the quickest and who's the strongest, it's a much more kind of a creative, like organic game. It's a lot about your individual skill, and having no fear of making mistakes. I find that a lot of people are scared to make a mistake, and perhaps we just need to change our viewpoint on what a mistake is. So as I say, I kind of took the plunge. I took up a license through International Street Soccer Association and the Street Skills Academy. The license has allowed me to purchase 2 inflatable pitches, a soundboard which goes really, really nicely with it, and I've also got access to a lot of the online content and a lot of coach education session plans, which I found like incredibly useful as well. So like really fantastic resources, some really good games, some really nice ideas, which is good for any coach to kind of like really expand their knowledge. I'd say the impact of the inflatable pitches has been big, and one of the biggest for me, because if we rock up to do a birthday party or an event, or anything of that nature, the first thing that a lot of the kids look at is go, wow, look at that, oh wow, because most people are sort of like used to playing football or soccer in the traditional sense, whereas like on this inflatable pitch, it's got a sense of freedom, it's something a little bit different. And we talk a lot about like how to create a positive learning environment, and I think part of that is achieved like via the inflatable pitches and just creating that sense of freedom, that sense of creativity. One of the other aspects that we do is we play music. Sometimes we bring in DJs if we have events, and MCs. Again, that really sort of like adds to the whole package that we have. The coach education, as I say, is really quite high as well. So I think sometimes, like particularly in England, like as a coach, you often think, well, do I know everything, or do I think I know everything, but perhaps I don't. And I think like what I was able to get from Darren was a completely different way of doing things, a completely unique way of coaching as well. And perhaps what it needed me to do was to just open my mind a little bit. And I think like the street soccer as a game has definitely helped me do that, because as I say, it's a much more free, organic game. And when we talk about like the basics, the fundamentals of what makes up a good soccer player, a lot of people will look at athletic ability because of the advancements that we have in sports science and strength and conditioning, plyometric training, and they all are really, really important. I would never say that they're not important, but there's something certainly to be said for like the free play, right? That sense that kids can just kind of go out and look to create things, something different, something new. If everything was the same, like the world would be a boring place. So, part of our job is to like unlock the potential that's kind of within all the children. But we just need to give them a platform, like an environment in which they can do that, which they can unlock it, which they can express themselves. In street soccer, particularly through the license, as I say, through the use of the inflatable pitches or the panic age or the music, the DJ is like really helped that. It's certainly brought an awful lot of added value to my company. So what I do is, we work on 6-week skills programs. Again, that's all provided for you through the ISSA and the Street Skills Academy. I think as well that one of the unique selling points about it is the online street skills, because that's the way the world's going. It is very much online, lots of visual representation. Through the growth of say YouTube, So it's really important that we do keep up with the times, and we're not like dinosaurs that just kind of rely on what worked maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And kids can almost in some ways become their own coaches as a result of it. And I think as well it's really important for the kids, for the players, to understand that it takes time to kind of get to where you want to get to, not just with the actual street skills themselves, but like in life. And a little bit like learning the street skills, there's going to be times when you get really angry, really frustrated, but that's when you learn the most about yourself, and that's when you learn most about like what you do, in the hope that in the future, all these mistakes or ways that don't work will eventually, pay off. And the success that I see on kids' faces and the happiness that I see on their faces when they achieve something that they didn't think was possible is absolutely priceless. And I have to say a big thank you to the Street Skills Academy and the level of support that Darren has provided, as a coach and mentor, as well as the online support, as well as the inflatable pitches that come as part of the license. So for anyone that's considering it, that wants to look at something different, that's interested in not just maybe the traditional sense, but is looking at expanding a little bit wider into the community, birthday parties, events, 3 versus 3 tournaments, panel tournaments, it's all possible, and as I say, it really sort of brings something a little bit different, if you're looking for that next level up. And the last thing I'll say is, obviously in England, we do have this culture of going out onto the streets, into the parks and actually just playing, with our friends, knocking on each other's doors, where there's no coach, there's no teacher, there's no parents, it's just kids doing what kids do, and playing, and that's where most of the learning takes place. And that's the beauty of, say, street soccer. Very much we have an expression in England called jumpers for goalposts. It's a kind of just put down your jumper, that's your goal, alright, off you go, and then you play. So as I say, if anyone that's considering it, I would fully endorse it and fully recommend it.